It's called The Gift. I saw right through him. Jack was white and black light, a living X-ray. I could see through his skin to his bones, organs, and the network of veins that ran up and down his arms and legs. It all glowed ghostly white, radiation white. His handsome hooded eyes seemed to have fallen even lower as of late, his eyes like a horizon, blue-gray on a distant day. One of the things that drew me to him, the amatory insouciance worn like an imperceptible cloak over his boyish neediness. "Come here," I said quietly. "Let me look." Jack walked closer and I held up my hand to stop him. I didn't want him to get too close until I could figure this out. If I focused my eyes intently on his body, he became a living X-ray and I could see through him. I felt nervous, so I called Ellie over. And then I felt an icy spear move through me, remembering her lying in our arms, gasping her last breaths, her soulful, chocolatey eyes growing heavy, whiskers lifeless and limp against her snout. She died that day, that first day, the day it happened. We'd survived, many had, in varying states of weakness or strength. But we remained perplexed by a strange gift, a blessing, a curse, bestowed upon a chosen few. I was one of the chosen few, having acquired some mystifying new sovereignty. And it worried me as I stared at Jack's lighted insides, studying his anatomy like a neurosurgeon looking for the culprit, a tumor, internal bleeding, a shadow. And it made me remember the day that it all went down. On that afternoon, the sun spat solar orbs down onto the earth. At first, people thought it may have been hail, a strange hail, a yellow hail, a hot hail, but hail nonetheless. It was not hail. The solar orbs were the size of cantaloupes. They left dents in the earth, holes in the streets, crushed the tops of cars, smashed through rooftops. They knocked down trees, broke all the glass, split wires open, causing outages and electrocutions. Steam rose off the earth, scorched and burning, rising like tendrils of mist off a lake. These cantaloupes were not filled with watery sweet fruit. Noxious yellow gases, violently radioactive, began to eradicate people almost immediately. The radiation, magnetic elements, other chemical anomalies interfered with the satellites and the signals used for television, internet, radio. Most media outlets shuttered, but there were a few, CNN, Fox News, that managed to maintain communication for a while. Still, the difficulty in understanding what had happened stifled humanity, the fighting, the blaming, the politicizing. It took place on a Tuesday, early in the morning, at the end of a warm February. The emergency rooms filled with people whose radiation poisoning was so bad, they glowed. The elderly, children, small pets perished almost immediately, the way they so often do in situations like these. Not everyone was dying, though. Some people, not many, a handful, showed no signs of debilitation. They said their blood felt like hot metal, and their breath tasted of Himalayan pink salt. They said their dreams were filled with light. They believed that they had been given a gift, that they had powers, they just didn't understand them yet. Scientists were studying them, and I knew about these people, because evidently I was one of them. "What do you see?" Jack asked, snapping me back. Studying the region around his stomach, I noticed small, dark, squirming things. They looked like caterpillars, but chunkier, boll weevils, leeches. They weren't slithering around, burrowing or feeding as far as I could tell, but looking for a way out, perhaps? As if the little beings heard my thoughts, like an incantation, the black wigglies in Jack's intestines began worming their way upward. "Oh my God, please," I thought, "do not take him from me brutally and all bloody." Jack began heaving, fell to the floor on all fours. He started to regurgitate the creatures, a gargling sound warbling in his throat as if he was choking. I stepped back as hot vomit splashed onto the floor. Into the yellow gunk splashed the first slew of pupas, plopping onto the planks and immediately transforming, busting through their skins, shells, cocoons. The beings throbbed and yanked free of their cases until they looked like small birds. Covered in corn-colored vomit, the oily black goo of their eerie sheets and some other substance I could not quite place. Perhaps it was solar? I tried to home in on whatever bizarre powers had bestowed to me, but I didn't know what I was doing, or whether or not these strange abilities were communicable in any way. I narrowed my eyes. I imagined I had telekinesis. Did I? Wondered if I could speak to them with my mind. And in direct response, maybe they could read my mind. They snapped to attention, little heads jerking about like angry raptors, 6 of them. Their anxious eyes looked like little black apple seeds, except there were 4 eyes instead of 2, no 6, no 8, like spiders. Their bodies were covered in feathers, but they must have been feathers from outer space or something. They looked like saran wrap, wrinkly and translucent. Strangest of all, and the chills raced my spine, their wings rested against the front of their bodies, not the back. And as soon as they began flapping them, their bodies lifted off the ground and hovered in the air, suspended momentarily. And then they flew backwards, pulsing the air in front of them with their weird wings to propel themselves rearward. Picture the freakish little creations in a Hieronymus Bosch painting, and you're halfway there. And they focused their creepy eyes on Jack, their faces sinister and savage, and began to move toward us in a V formation, like geese that fly south for the winter. I scrambled back, trying to use my body to protect Jack, but I kept slipping in the astral puke. The steaming, stinking, glowing yellow liquid was everywhere. "What the fuck are they?" Jack screamed as they approached. He clutched me tighter. He was turning blue. "I want you to know how much I love you," I said to him calmly. "Don't be a dick," he coughed. "Get us through this. Figure out what your stupid fucking power is and fight them." I blinked. I swallowed. I nodded, sweat pouring off my face. My stupid fucking power.
Woo!